Weaponeer here, and this right here is my PSL rifle, otherwise known as a ROMAK III or an SSG-97. This right here is it's not quite a stock PSL anymore. As you can tell, it's got the handguards that are updated. The original PSL has wood, and the wood is but this one right here is the SVD style handguards. It's not the SVD, but it's SVD style, and it has an SVD buttstock. Modified. This is not a sniper rifle. This is a designated marksmanship rifle or marksman rifle. And one person within a squad or two people within a squad would be issued a rifle like this so they can take careful aimed shots. This is not a sniper rifle where it's a different technique altogether, as well as the rifles are significantly different. Now, the one thing about the SVD or the PSL, let me put this down here, is the stock. This right here is a real SVD stock. This is the stock that I originally had it mounted on my PSL. The reason I had it originally mounted on my PSL, normally they don't fit, but this one right here was specifically modified to fit by Black Horse Arsenal. And a few years ago I went ahead and I purchased the stock as well as the handguards. And then recently, the whole problem with this one right here is it's got the short length of pull. It's a standard Russian length of pull, and that's based on winter and summer shooting in Russia. With them, at the time, you had big, thick, heavy coats, and if you had a rifle that fits you just perfectly and for length of pull, when you put it on with a big, heavy coat, it no longer fits you, and you had a hard time seeing through the optics. So this way, right here, with the short length, it was able to be fitting the soldier for the summer or winter, fall, anything else. That's why they're short. But for the U.S., it's a little hard to get used to for a lot of people. Now, like I said, this is a real SVD stock. And what they did, what Black Horse Arsenal did, is they went ahead and they had a new one made. And this new one was a modification, once again, of the SVD. And it's actually, if I remember correctly, it's manufactured by Izmesh in Russia, but it's based on U.S. requirements. And what they did is they cut it here, and they cut it here. So what they did is they made it so it's an adjustable length of pull. There's a latch here, and then you have the screw right there. That screw is the one that you use with your Allen head key. You go ahead and you place that in there, and you turn it in or you turn it out, and that basically makes it so you can go longer or shorter. What it looks like is this. Now this right here is the stock. This is the new updated stock by Black Horse Arsenal, and it's a very nice stock, I have to admit. I do like the idea of having the length of pull being able to be adjusted. Some people might criticize the fact that you have to use a wrench in order to adjust the length of pull. Remember, this is based on an already existing stock, so they couldn't retrofit any kind of thumb wheel or any other item that you would normally find on U.S. sniper rifle stocks and things like that. So the whole point was to modify an existing design so it was able to accommodate longer lengths of pull, and that's what they did. Typically, your length of pull doesn't change too much. For U.S. shooters, you can adjust it for winter now, or you can adjust it for summer. So you can have it set up so it's never going to be far from the exact specs for your length of pull. And it works out really nice. One thing you'll notice about the PSL is it's got a really far offset scope. This is further than the other rifles, such like AKs that have scopes on them. And the reason is with the PSL or SVD is basically set up so you were to use the iron sights from 0 to 300 yards, which is why it's offset so far. It is also offset so far because originally they were going to have the option of using stripper clips, but it doesn't have the size, the offset far enough for that. But with the 0 to 300 meter, even if the optics were damaged, or they could just take the optics off and carry it without the optics, so they didn't have to worry about damaging the optics. That way they could use the rifle with iron sights out to 300 yards or 300 meters. But when you take this scope right here, this is an SVD 1P21 POSP zoom scope, and this is a really nice, it's a variable 42 millimeter, and it's got a built-in bullet drop compensator. And the bullet drop compensator is different than anything else you'll find. A lot of people find the Russian scopes difficult to use, and really they're not. They're actually quite usable. There's a lot more simple to operate than a lot of the other reticles that you see out there. But this one right here is the most simple of all. Since this is a variable and it's a zoom, it has this wheel right back here. Well, that allows you to zoom the scope in and out. And what you do is it has, right above the actual chevron, rather than crosshair, it has a chevron in the center. And right above that, there's a little scale. And what you do is you're supposed to take that scale and put it between the top of the head and the belt. And once you do that, you take the zoom, you zoom it right to that point where it fits correctly, and that automatically in the top will tell you how many meters away the target is. Now, since you already know how many meters away the target is, you can tell your comrades, there's so many say you're 600 meters away, and then they can adjust your sights for 600 meters. But for you, you don't have to do anything because the scope's already set for the bullet drop compensating. All you have to do is just put this chevron right on target and pull the trigger. So it's a really nice design. And this one right here has an extended tube on it and all kinds of stuff. So as you can see, this is a slightly modified PSL. But as far as the Black Horse Arsenal, they did a really fine job. This is the first model of handguards. I basically like the first model because it doesn't have the nice, really smooth texture. Because eventually I'm going to go ahead and put a camouflage pattern on here. And so because this was a slightly rougher texture, I just left it. But the new model of handguards from Black Horse Arsenal are these right here. And so it's really nice. Once again, it's like any other kind of handguards you would find on AKs or anything like that. It will not fit an AK, and it will not fit the SVD. This is very specific. But as you can see, it has the SVD style. And it's really nice. If I was going to give you a tip on installation, I'd say, all parts require a little fitting because there's such a range in specifications. And so there's a little bit of requirement for light fitting. And in this case, what you do is you take a piece of sandpaper, put it on a table, and you just run this back and forth on the sandpaper a couple of times. What happens is during the molding process, when it's released from the mold, it basically contracts ever so slightly, but enough to make it make this rail right here where it fits. Well, once you place it on top here, the outer edges would just have just a little bit of daylight through them. So if you want to go ahead and just take a couple of seconds to just sand it back and forth, just a couple of seconds all it would take, and then this would right here fit perfectly. So it'd be a fitted fit rather than just throwing it back on there. Really good quality. I don't see any difference between this and other AK quality products. This is most likely it's a glass-filled polymer. Most products of this type are, and really the quality is really nice. I'm really surprised since this is I believe this is also made in Russia as well. I could be wrong. They could be making them in the U.S. now, but I believe that they were originally made in Russia. But, like I said, if you want to dress up your PSL, you can use this rather than the wood counterpart. This is a lot lighter than the wood. But the new stock is heavier than the wood, and the reason is because you had to add the extra complexity by putting in another rod on the inside here as well as here, so you can turn it out and make it longer, or turn it in and make it shorter. So because of that, it's slightly heavier than stock, and as you can see right here, it's not a bad looking stock. This also has the adjustable cheek piece where you can move it out of the way for using the iron sights, or you can move it in the way for using the optics. So there you go. I've been using the Black Horse Arsenal buttstock and handguards for several years now, and I really like them. They're really good. I don't have any complaints on them. You know, I haven't dropped the rifle from a two-story building to see how well that they handle it, and that's not something that I ever would do. So if you're take care of your weapon, you're going to be taking care of the stock and the optics and everything else. It's going to last a good long time. If you have any comments or questions on Black Horse Arsenal or the PSL right here, feel free to post them below. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to rate my videos. I'm Weaponeer, and I'll catch you in the next one.
What you want? Come on.